I welcome you all to the live phone-in program organized by the All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, MYSURU, on World Autism Awareness Month. So today here we are commemorating the World Autism Awareness Day and the World Autism Awareness Month. Now, what is the objective of commemorating these observations in this month? Yes, it is very much towards the intention that we should leave no one behind. So that is something which tells us how inclusivity should happen, how acceptance should happen, and that is the direction that we want to be moving in, especially for children with autism spectrum disorders. Be it at the education level, that is in schools, or at the level of jobs, when we see that a lot of these persons with disabilities are segregated rather than included. So here we are making a very special attempt on this day to celebrate the World Autism Awareness Month, supporting the note on Leave No One Behind. So here we have our number. You may call in to us at 0821-250-2530. We are also streaming live on the Facebook, that is AIISH MYSURU FB page. So if you have any questions, you may please post them on our FB page as well. So let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Jayashree C. Shanbal, and I am the chairperson of the Autism Spectrum Disorders Unit at the Institute, and I'm also the head of the Telecenter for Persons with Communication Disorders. We have with us our special resource persons who have been working for children with autism spectrum disorders. We have Dr. Ullasani J. Arun, who is a dietitian consultant to All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, MYSURU. We welcome you, Dr. Ullasani. We also have Dr. Kadambari, who is a special educator at the Department of Special Education, All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, MYSURU. Welcome you, Kadambari. And we have our occupational therapist, Bharti, who is very special to us, working in line with whatever has to happen as part of a very important team member under autism spectrum disorders. We welcome you, Bharti. So let me start with our question today. Dr. Kadambari, would you please give us briefly about what autism is or autism spectrum disorders is, and how should a parent or a general public look out for those characteristics? And what do you think is the prevalence of this?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on this dais. And see, autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. Okay, so to tell you briefly, the children with autism will have problems with social communication, like that there will be problems with social interaction when there are two people around. There will be delayed speech and language development. If I say so, a child at 1 year of age has to use specific number of words. So the child may not be using those words, or the child will not be able to communicate his or her needs to the parent. So this is something which is delayed in a child with autism. Also, you might find a child with autism will have some stereotypical behaviors. So I think those behaviors like moving round and round, or even playing with certain specific things, or even lining up things together. So these are certain things which a parent can notice. And also they will have a lot of sensory issues. So they have the sensory seeking behaviors, I think, which Bharati ma'am will be talking about later. Generally, when we talk of identification, I always say there are certain red flags, which can be noticed by a parent or by a teacher in a school. So a few of the red flags is, one is a lack of social smile. Okay. Then before also, as I said, a child will not be able to express his or her needs to the parent whenever required. A simple thing is pointing using an index finger. That is something which is missing. Then not responding to the name call. So when a child is playing with his or her toys and you call the child's name, the child is not responding. So that is something which is missing, which is a very big red flag which the mother or the parent can tell us. Also, the child is not able to undertake the instructions what are being given in the school. So there are certain things and not able to concentrate when the teacher is telling. So as we go along, I'll try and explain all these things. And as we talked about prevalence, the prevalence has increased No, as per NIMHANS, 1 in 65 children in the age range of 3 to 6 years are being diagnosed with autism in India, and 1 in almost 85 children are being in the age range of 6 and above are being diagnosed. So, the prevalence is increasing day by day.
Okay. So let's just take a caller and we'll continue with our conversation. Hello. Hello.
ಹಲೋ, ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ, ಹೇಳಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ನನ್ನ ಮಗಳಿಗೆ 4 years.
ಓಕೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ನೀತಾ ಅಂತ.
ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ.
ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಥೆರಪಿ ಹೋಗಿ 1 month ಆಯ್ತಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ. ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇದೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಡೇ ಬೈ ಡೇ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ತರನೇ ಆಗ್ತಾಳ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಥೆರಪಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ತನಕ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ಬೋದು?
ಮೇಡಮ್, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಈಗ?
ಅದೇ 1 month ಆಯ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
1 month ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಹೌದು.
ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ವೀಕ್ಲಿ ಟ್ವೈಸ್ ಹಿಮ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ.
ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ, ಫೈನ್. ಸರಿ, ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಅವಳ ಏಜ್ 4 years, ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಬೇಗ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ತುಂಬಾ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸಿವಿಯರಿಟಿ, ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಸಿವಿಯರಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅವಳ ಸಿವಿಯರಿಟಿ, ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಮೈಲ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಮೈಲ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿಯಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೊಗ್ನೋಸಿಸ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಳು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾಳೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನೀವು 1 month ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. 1 month ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇನ್ನೂ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಆ ಮಗು ಜೊತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಕಾದಂಬರಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಇದು ಏನು ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ ಅವಳು ತಪ್ಪಾಗಿ ಕಲ್ತಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋಂಥ ತೊಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನರದ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ತೊಂದರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಮಯ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ಕಲಿತಾರೋ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಕಲಿಯಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಮಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೊಂದೇ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹಲವಾರು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಬೇಕಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ IQ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಮಗು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆ ಮಗು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಬಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಗು ಕಲಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬಟ್ ನನ್ನ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಖಂಡಿತ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಈ ಮಗುವಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಿವಿಯಾರಿಟಿ ಮೈಲ್ಡ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮತ್ತು ಅವಳ ಏಜ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಹೇಳಿ.
ಅವಳು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟೇರಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಡೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾಳೆ ಒಂದೊಂದ್ಸರಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್?
ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಭಾರತಿ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಭಾರತಿ ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಹಲೋ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಈಗ ಮಗು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳೆ? ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೇಳಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಅದು ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಇವಾಗ ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಸ್ಟೇರಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಳು ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ,
ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅವಳಿಗೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಅವಳಿಗೆ ವಿಶ್ವಲ್ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲೇಸರ್ ಲೈಟ್ ಆ ಥರ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. ಸಮ್ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದು, ಸ್ವಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಜಂಪಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಈ ಥರ ಏನಾದರೂ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಂದ್ರೆ ಮನೇಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಲೈಕ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಟಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮ್ ಬೇಬಿ ಆಯಿಲ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗ್ಲಿಟರ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ವಾ, ಈ ಥರ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸೊ ವಿಶ್ವಲ್ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಈ ಥರ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಅದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ವಿಶ್ವಲ್ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಲೇಸರ್ ಲೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ಈ ಥರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಕಲರ್ ಲೈಟ್ಸ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಲರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಇರೋದನ್ನೇ ಸಿಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ.
ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ FB ಲೈವ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ, ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಆಮೇಲೂ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ನಮ್ದು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಕೆಲವು ಐಟಮ್ಸ್ ನ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ, ವಿಜುವಲ್ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದೇನಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಮಗುಗೆ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ.
ಸರಿ ಸರಿ, ನೀವು ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ನ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಕೆಲವು ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲವು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಇದ್ರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವೆರಡು ಅವರಿಬ್ರು ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ರೂಲ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾರು ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಅವ್ರು ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಭಾರತಿ ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಅದೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ನೀವು ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಕೆಲವು ಎಕ್ಸಸೈಸಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸರಿ, ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇತ್ತಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಫೈನ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Yeah, so coming back to Kadambari, she was very clearly telling us, the prevalence is getting higher day by day. Probably there are a lot of factors associated with that. There are a lot of causal factors associated with that, which we will talk about at a point of time. But what she said is something that I totally agree, because I think the personal experience here at AIISH is that the first complaint they say is the child doesn't respond to his name.
Yes.
And many parents think that probably it is more to do with their hearing problem, because there's something wrong with their audition. That is the reason the children are not able to respond to their name. But when we actually test these children for hearing, we find that they are completely normal with their hearing, but still they are not able to respond to their name call. So a lot of times this is the first sign that we look out for at the institute, that we suspect that this child could have some autism kind of a disorder. This is a social response. Ideally, like the response name calling, responding to name call is a social response. So this again goes in line with what Dr. Kadambari was just saying, that probably, they have issues with social skills, social development, and there goes by, not responding to their name call. Okay, so we have the next question to Dr. Bharti. So Dr. Bharti, just tell us when we can identify autism at the earliest. What do you think is, the parents should keep in mind an approximate age? When can we identify this at the earliest?
Many children shows the autism symptoms by 12 to 18 months of the age. So already ma'am told the features, signs. So child doesn't show poor name response, then he's a poor name response, problem with the eye contact, then no smiling, then poor skills in the pretended play and imitations.
So
mainly 12 to 18 months.
Around 12 to 18 months are what you can see as risk factors, if I'm not wrong. And a lot of times what happens is there are very smaller signs, such
Yes,
as your social
smiles.
smile.
Yes.
And if you know that these people are showing red flags on that, you can somewhere suspect that maybe there is some issue that the child is going to have, which might be moving towards autism spectrum disorders. Is
Yes.
that what you're trying to tell
Yes.
us? Okay. Well, we'll just take this
Yes.
call, Bharti.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
ಹಲೋ ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ, ಹೇಳಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ನಾನು ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಅಂತ.
ಹಾ, ಹೇಳಿ ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಅವರ.
ನನ್ನ ಮಗ ವಿಹಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅವನಿಗೆ 3 ವರ್ಷ 9 ತಿಂಗಳು ಈಗ.
ಓಕೆ
ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ.
ಓಕೆ, ಹೇಳಿ, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅವನು ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಈಗ 1 year ಮುಂಚೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ 2 ವರ್ಷ 4 ತಿಂಗಳಿರುವಾಗ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅದೇ ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
ಓಕೆ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡ್ಸಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೋಮ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ನಾನೇ. ಏನು ಅಂತ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬೇರೆ ಇನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಓಕೆ, ನೀವ್ ಯಾವ ಊರು?
ನಾನು ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಒಬ್ಬನೇ ಮಗನಾ?
ಇವನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಗು ಈಗ 6 ತಿಂಗಳು ಮಗು ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಸರಿ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ನನ್ನ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕಾದಂಬರಿನೂ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟರು. ಈಗ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಈ ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಮಗುನ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಗು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ನೀವು ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ, ಈಗ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಅವನ ವಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆ ಆಟ ಆಡೋದು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಿರತ್ತೆ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ನ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ ನಾನ್ ಹೇಳೋದೇನಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದ್ ಮಗುನ ಎಜುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವನು ಅವ್ನ ಕಾಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅವನ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಖಂಡಿತ ಅವನ್ನ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಸ್ಬೋದು ಈಗ 2.5 ವರ್ಷ 3 ವರ್ಷ ಇವಾಗೇನು ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಂದ ಅದು ಇದು ಅನ್ನೋದಲ್ಲ, ಇವಾಗ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಒಂದು ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೀ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನಲ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕಾದಂಬರಿ ಅವ್ರ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
ನಿಮ್ ಮಗು 3 ವರ್ಷ 9 ತಿಂಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಈಗ ಬಂದು ನೀವು ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಗು ಯಾವ ಏಜ್ ಅಂತ ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದು
ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ಟರ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. 13 ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 13 ತಿಂಗಳು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಸರಿ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಗುಗೆ ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ 2 ಸಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, 1-on-1 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೀಚರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಗು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನಾವು ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಅಕ್ಷರ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. 13 ತಿಂಗಳು ಮಗುಗೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಏನೇನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ನಮ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಮನೇಲಿನೂ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತಾ ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಗೆ ಮಗುವಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಪ್ರೀ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ನು ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಮೈಸೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ತರಬೇತಿ ಸಿಗ್ಬಹುದು. ಹೇಗೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಬೇಕು, ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ನೋಡ್ಬಹುದು, ಮಾಡಬಹುದು.
ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇರುತ್ತಾ ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ಬಂದು ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ ಮೇಡಮ್?
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇಗ ನಾವು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನೋಡ್ಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್ ಬರಕ್ ಆಗದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ರಜಾ ತಗೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಅಂತ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಅದು ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇನೂ ಒಂದು ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ, ಒಂದು 15 days ಏನೇನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು, ಈಗ ಮಗು ಚಿಕ್ಕದು, ಅದು ಇನ್ನು ಏಜ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಏಜ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದು ಈಗ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ ಮಗುವಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಗ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ.
ಆಯ್ತು, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇತ್ತಾ?
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಇಂದ ಹೊರಗ್ ಬರ್ತಾನ ನನ್ ಮಗ ಅಂತ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ನೀವ್ ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಕಿನ್ನ ಮುಂಚೆ ಈಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದೀವಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಈಗ ಮಗು ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಇಲ್ದೇ ಇದ್ರು, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇಲ್ದೇ ಇದ್ರು ನಾವು ಅವ್ರ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದೇ ರೀತಿನೂ ಈ ಮಗುಗೆ ನೀವೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವ್ ಹೇಳಿರೋಂತ ಸಲಹೆ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನೀವು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಯಾವ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಸಲಹೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಬೆಟರ್, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರಿ, ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ತರನೇ ನೀವು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಏನು ಆಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಂಥ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ, ಸರಿನಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ. So I think that was a very genuine question that all the parents have, how will the improvement be? And as I said, I guess all of us agree with the fact that there is, instead of thinking whether it will improve or not, at least get the right professionals into your hands. And if you're getting suggestions, please at least make attempts to move in that direction. I'm sure, the child will definitely not be left behind. Yes. Professionals will join hands for all of this. So I suggest the parents to not get into the hands of quacks, get the right professionals and take advices from them. Okay, so we'll move to the next question, which is always a sought out question in our programs. That is on diet. So what I have observed personally in our clinic also is a lot of these children with autism spectrum disorders seem to be having some kind of diet issues. And that is seen very, very prominently as a complaint from the parents. So Dr. Ullasani, I'd just like to say, what do you think is the role of diet in children with autism spectrum disorders?
Of course, diet plays an important role actually. So there would be some, say, some 90% of it where you can trust on it, start working on it, and then follow it. So it should be very timely actually. So here we do have some restrictions through diet. It is like not a normal one what we can provide for them. It will be a special kind of diet where we restrict some things. So there are some limitations, especially limitations of sugary kind foods, casein products which are to be deleted, and of course maybe gluten, which has a drastic effect because all these are dependent on glucose. Glucose is the one which is importantly required for a person for the brain cells to get activated and already start working on a day note. So this glucose is one which can aggravate the hyperactiveness also. So here we cut down on carbohydrates, give a moderate protein and moderate fat, and also a casein-free, gluten-free and lactose-free will be taken care, so that all these will be expert in the form of foodstuffs for them, because everyone uses different kinds of foods in their staple form. So this will be conveyed to the patients or the mother, whoever is concerned with the kid, and that will be taken care. And up to 40 to 50% we can see little corrections out of it where they can delete and do it for them, because load of glucose is one major thing. So your fiber load also is very important, so that the carbohydrate level can be cut down by fiber intake, and of course water, which can make that everything as calm as we say it is neutral. So all these things will be taken into care, and it will be explained to the patient and such, and how their requirements and what is their food types will be also taken care. And timely eating and also giving concentration on group eating with the family also will be told to the parents, so the kids should develop the concept. So here the diet, as I suggest, is a very important. And of course, coming to taste, it might be a little lacuna for them, because what kids like are majorly of sugary kinds. It is like carbohydrate loads, say your chocolates, cakes, pastries. So all those will be substituted with the other one, where they can get glucose in the other form.
Okay. We'll just take the next caller and then get back. Hello? Hello? Heli?
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು ವಿಜಯ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ವಿಜಯ ಅವರೇ, ಹೇಳಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾಪುಗೆ 2 years ಇದಾಗಿಂದ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿ, ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇತ್ತು ಮೇಡಮ್. ನಾವು ಮೈಸೂರು ಆಲಿನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾಪುಗೆ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡ್ಸಿದ್ವಿ. ಅವಾಗ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ 3 months ಹೇಗೋ ಕೊಡ್ಸಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ಸಿದ್ವಿ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಮನೇಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ತುಂಬಾ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾಪು ಇವಾಗ ಅಯ್ಯ, ತಾತ, ಬಾಬಾ ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು 20 words ಮಾತ್ರ ಕಲ್ತಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಇರೋದು ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ತುಂಬಾ ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಗ ಇರೋದು, ಆತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೈಕಿಯಾಟ್ರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ವಿ. ಮೇಡಮ್ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಪಾಪು ತುಂಬಾ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಎಳಿಯೋದು, ಮನೇಲೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೇಳೋದು.
ನೀವ್ ಯಾವ ಊರಂದ್ರೆ? ತುಮಕೂರು. ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಈಗ ನಾನು ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿಸ್ಟ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಭಾರತಿ ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಮಗುಗೆ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಖಂಡಿತ. ಕೆಲವು ಸತಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಕೆಲವು ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸೊ ಕೆಲವು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದೊಂದು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಕೆಲವು ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಭಾರತಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಂಗಿರುವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಮಗು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಭಾರತಿ ಅವರು ಈ ಮಗುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಅವ್ನ ಆತರ ಓಡಾಡೋದು ಆತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಅಂಥದ್ದು ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾನು ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾತು ಕೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ಗೇನ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವನ್ಗೆ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವನ್ಗೆ ಬರೀ ಹೋಮ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಇದರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೆಲವು ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಆಫ್ಲೈನು ಇದೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿವಸ ನೀವು ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ತರಬೇತಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಆ ಮಗು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದೆ, ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಸರಿನಾ ತಪ್ಪಾ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸರಿನಾ?
ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಮಕ್ಳ ಜೊತೆನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಂಗನವಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಅಂಗನವಾಡಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಮಕ್ಳ ಜೊತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪನೂ ಅದೇ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಿದೆ. 20 words ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ನೀರ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ.
ಹೌದು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ, ಇವಾಗ ನೀವೇ ಒಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬರೀ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸಾಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಬರೀ ಬೆರ್ತ್ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆ ಅವನ್ನ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನು ಕಲ್ತ್ ಬಿಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೂನು ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅದೂನು. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದೀರಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರನೇ ತರಬೇತಿ ಕೊಡ್ಸೋದು ಬೆಟರ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬನ್ನಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಬಂದು ನೀವು ತರಬೇತಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನಂತರ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿವಸ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ನಂತರ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಲಿಸೆಂಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಶನ್ ಡಿಸಾರ್ಡರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ, TCPD ಅಂತ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನಂತರ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರ ವಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾನು ಭಾರತಿ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ.
ಹಲೋ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಏನು ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅವನಿಗೂ ಮಗನಿಗೂ? ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಬೇರೆ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಇವಾಗ ಐ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟಿವಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾಕೆ 1 year ಬೇಬಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀ ಟಿವಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ.
ಓಕೆ.
ನಾವು 2 year ಇಂದ ಟಿವಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು, ಪಾರ್ಕಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು, ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಜನಗಳ ಜೊತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೆರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಬಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನೆಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗಿಳಿಚೋನ್ಗೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಜನಕ್ಕೂ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ 3 months ಇಂದ ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಐ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಮನೇಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಎಳಿಯೋದು, ನೆಲ್ಲಿ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್ಗಳು ಆನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡೋದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಬೇರೆ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಆಚೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಓಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಇದು ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಥೆರಪಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿನ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವನು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಳು ಕೂರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನಲ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಮ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆ ಥರ ಏನಾದ್ರು ತಗೊಂಡು
ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೂಡ 1 month ಕೊಡ್ಸಿದ್ವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಅದೇ 1 month ಸಾಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ 6 months ಆ ಥರ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್
ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಈಗ ಒಂದ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ನೀವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗೆ ಬನ್ನಿ, ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಬನ್ನಿ. ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಭಾರತೀಯವರು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಸೋಣ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಮಾಡ್ಸಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ನೋಡಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲ ಮಗುನ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನಾವ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಕೊಡಕ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್. ಭಾರತೀಯವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರಜಾ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ತರಬೇತಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 3 ರಿಂದ 6 ತಿಂಗಳು ತರಬೇತಿ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಮನೇಲೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
1 word 2 word ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮೇಡಮ್. ನಾವು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ 1 word 2 word. ಬಟ್ ಹೈಪರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ.
ಸೊ ಅವ್ನು ಸಿವಿಯಾರಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಸ್ಲೋ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿರೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸರಿನಾ. ಸೊ ನೀವ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬನ್ನಿ, ಬಂದು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ನಮ್ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. So yes, I think again there are a lot of associated problems that we usually see with autism. Could be that this is another kid with hyperactivity, but we really don't know.
whether it's really the condition that she's talking about is just hyperactivity or maybe his age also, because it looks like he's in an age where he will be moving around. May not be a typical child with ADHD. So I think it's better they come and get tested at AIISH and then move ahead as per our directions. I'd like to introduce at this point Mrs. Padmaja. Welcome you, ma'am.
Namaskar. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice to see you here, and thank you so much for agreeing to be on our program today. I know you had a busy schedule, but still you are here. Let me introduce Mrs. Padmaja. More than anything, I think she is a wonderful mother, who has brought in a wonderful journey of a child with who has autism spectrum disorders, who is living with autism spectrum disorders. But I guess Vivek, who's her child, is one of those luckiest sons, I should say, that who always has the backing from the mother, like Mrs. Padmaja. So she is a wonder lady, I would like to say, because I think she has kind of handled him single-handedly, and she's been through his journey from the beginning, and she's never hesitated to contact professionals, take their advice, take their suggestions, and whatever best she could do as a mother, she's done. She's been able to do it for Mr. Vivek. So on behalf of all of us, especially the Institute, a big thanks to you. And we are here to help you in future as well. So I'd like to tell all of you that Vivek, who's her son, is 21-year-old. Yes, 21, 25-year-old. And we are now in a bit to working towards his vocational aspect. So that is something that is there in my mind currently for Vivek, so that we know he's able to lead his life independently, even in the absence of his mother. So that is the intention. But let's hear more from Mrs. Padmaja herself. So, Mrs. Padmaja, tell us more about your journey towards Vivek and identification of autism spectrum disorders in Vivek.
First of all, thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to talk about Vivek and for such wonderful words which you have used, very encouraging. Thank you so much for that. And coming to my journey of autism, I got married in 1995 and conceived Vivek. And when he was born, he was looking normal, very pretty, very handsome young, baby, and very, everything was going normal. I felt a little bit of hyperactivity was there. I thought he is very intelligent and he was very good at puzzles and all that. So, but his speech was delayed. One word speech was there. So there is a difference. I could feel the difference, but I did not know the word autism at that point in time. So then Vivek had to go through a surgery, and then I was finding during those healing time when he was in the ward, the doctor said he was not sitting in one place running around. Then the doctor said, "Why don't you consult a psychologist?" So that's how he has introduced me to this different world actually. So then we went after he got healed from that surgery. We went to the psychologist. Her name at Bangalore. Her name is Dr. Shulata Shenoy, and she has done the assessments, and then she diagnosed as he has a person with special needs, and some slow cognitive issues, also slow learning is there, and all these aspects she has put in front of us, and then she has asked us to start looking at the special education, and she has put us to a specialist, a special educator, Dr. Her name is Dr. Chitra. So we started one-to-one with her. Then Dr. The teacher Chitra, she told me it is not just dyslexia where it is a learning disability. It is a little beyond, which is called autism. So that's how the word was introduced to me. And then she's asked me to take up the autism course. And we started to have regular checkups with the Dr. Shulata Shinoy as well. And then we went to Nimhans also for the proper assessment to have from all the it's a renowned institute, as we all know. So it was diagnosed as autism, I mean, as a mixed developmental disorder along with autism and ADHD for Vivek. And then we had to put him, he was started in the normal school, but then he was having coping issues. And then we tried a special school called Brindavan for half a day normal school and half a day Brindavan, but that also did not work. Then we had to move him to a completely special school, Spastic Society of Karnataka, where we have an autism unit as well. And then, so he was in an inclusive class of CP children with children with cerebral palsy and autism and other issues. So it was an integrated class. So that's how, and then Vivek, we had doctors there. It has a DRC building, diagnosis and research center also is there in the Spastic Society of Karnataka. So we had doctors coming in there, giving us the regular checks, checkup, and giving us the guidelines how to go about. And there was a speech therapy unit and occupational therapy unit, sensory integration SI program was there. So all these things put together, we were working, and then it was going on. We were trying, and I was introduced to a 1-year autism program for parents and also for the special educators through KPMRC. So that's a Karnataka Parent Association for mentally retarded citizens. So it has an autism disorder inclusion as well. So there I did my 1-year autism course. So there I had to work with one is my child who is a kind of verbal and then high functioning, and with the low functioning on the spectrum we have low functioning child and also with non-verbal. So this kind of three cases I had to take work with them, and then that gave me a lot of exposure to the whole autism, what is autism spectrum disorder, and it empowered me as a mother. It's like there's a lot. It's a long journey, and I was never. I did not feel that. No, I felt that I'm just exploring new things, new way of communications, new way of new way of thinking, and there are. It's not every person is not the same. So there are. It's all differences, like how God has made every person different. So God has made my son differently to learn more and more things through him, and I become an evolved person. So I'm still evolving. So every day is a challenge. So like that, the journey went on. And in Spastics, in 2012, there was some kind of issues where some bullying was happening. So Vivek did not wanted to continue there. So we had to pull him out and start with some occasional education. So we started exploring other centers at close to my place, and he's been. So again, the guidance was still there. So so now you know. The KPMRC, the institute where we have the doctors, where there the NIMHANS, Dr. Shekhar Sheshadri, he's the child psychologist, psychology department head. So he has given look for the behavioral issues, what medications should be taken, because it's as we grow into adolescence, it is like the adolescence, the way the hormones and everything, right? The mood swings, everything we will have to have a balance there as well, along with the behavioral and diet as well. Diet also you had spoken, ma'am. So diet also we had to include everything. It's like all things we integrate together, and as a team we worked together. So it's the journey is progressing that way. So it's all trial and error, because every person is unique, and Vivek is also very different. So what works with some other may not work with Vivek. So it's all trial and error, and and we put small goals, win small goals, and then feel good about it, celebrate it, and then move ahead. That has been. So take one day at a time, and but plan things for him, but then take it slow, take it one by one, and then realize that you're not alone. So that's one key thing. So that's how we've been. The journey has been till now with Vivek. Thank you.
It's very nice. That's wonderful. I mean, I think that is what we were also trying to tell one of the parents just now. Have small goals for them and win them. Okay. So I don't think it's always been like that. Even for the typical children, I would still recommend the parents not to set a very large fielded goals for them, because
I think eventually, if the child is not able to reach them, it's more the parents who get disappointed. And obviously, there is an impact on the child on an everyday basis. So these are things that can be actually thought of on everyday basis, but more so for these special children, like children with autism spectrum disorders. Please remember, these are children who have some issues and they are making an attempt to win over them. So set small goals and try to reach them. So let us take another call. Hello? Hello?
हेलो मैम
Haley?
मैम मेरा लड़का 4 years 9 months का है.
Okay.
उसका एक खाने का इशू है.
अच्छा.
चीजें नहीं खा पाता. तो जो वो स्टमक प्रॉब्लम अगर हो जाए तो वो क्रिस्पी क्रंची चीजें, फ्राइड चीजें वैसा खाना उसको खिलाना पड़ता है. इसलिए उसको अच्छी तरह से रिकवरी होने में बहुत टाइम लगता है. तो वो राइस नहीं खाता, दाल नहीं खाता, बाकी फ्रूट्स वगैरह खाता है, सॉफ्ट चीजें नहीं खाता, सब क्रिस्पी क्रंची उस टाइप का चीजें खाता है.
अच्छा.
तो प्रॉब्लम हो गया, इसलिए मैंने सोचा आपसे पूछ ले.
ठीक है मैम. इधर हमारे साथ डाइटिशियन है डॉक्टर उल्लासिनी करके. तो डॉक्टर उल्लासिनी, do you want me to translate the question to you?
No, I can speak.
Okay. So she's fluent in Hindi, so she said she'll answer that to you.
Hello, ma'am.
मैम
Hello.
हेलो, do you understand Hindi?
या हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं, इंग्लिश नो प्रॉब्लम.
ओके. तो मेरा बच्चा तो वो खाने का इशू है, तो सॉफ्ट चीजें, राइस, चिपचिपा टाइप चीजें वो नहीं खाता है, तो क्रिस्पी क्रंची चीजें खाता है. तो उसके लिए अगर वो स्टमक प्रॉब्लम हो गया और अगर कोई उसका बीमारी वगैरह हो गया तो राइस वगैरह नहीं खाने से बहुत प्रॉब्लम होता है. और सभी को फ्राइड चीजें खिलाना पड़ता है, जिसके रिकवरी जल्दी से नहीं होता है.
आप कुछ च्यूइंग इश्यूज दिख रहा है बच्चे में?
मैम एक मिनट. उनको क्वेश्चन समझ में आ गया, वो आंसर कर रही है.
आपका बच्चे में कुछ च्यूइंग इश्यूज दिखाई दिया आपको? च्यूइंग में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है?
कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, सब अच्छी तरह से च्यूइंग करता है वो.
ओके. एक रिस्पीट जो आइटम्स है वही पसंद करता है खाने में?
हाँ.
आप ये रेगुलर कंसिस्टेंसी का फूड ट्राई किया है कभी, राइस दाल सब भी मिक्स करके या मैश करके?
हाँ, वही किया है. राइस का मैं पराठा भी बना के खिलाती थी कभी कभी. तो सॉफ्ट होने से वो चीजें नहीं खाता है. अगर थोड़ा भी सॉफ्ट चीजें उसका नहीं खाता है. थोड़ा मोटा वाला चीज नहीं खाता है, एकदम पतला क्रिस्पी वो खाता है. रोटी खाता है लेकिन कोमल होने से नहीं खाता है.
आप ये फूड का कंसिस्टेंसी कुछ ऑल्टर करना पड़ेगा. सेमी सॉलिड जो हम बोलते हैं वो इधर लिक्विड या सॉलिड के बीच में रहता है. जो भी आप ये पोहा या खिचड़ी बनाते हैं ना, सॉफ्ट ऐसे कंसिस्टेंसी में बना के आपको बच्चे को खिलाना पड़ेगा. और अट्रैक्टिव बाउल्स या कुछ फैमिली ईटिंग का प्रैक्टिस पे ये कुछ बेहतर हो जाएगा आपके लिए.
अच्छा.
एक क्रिस्पी फ्राइड आइटम्स क्या होता है, ये भी फाइबर लोड जो होता है ना, इससे कॉन्स्टिपेशन भी बढ़ता है.
यस मैम, इसलिए वो प्रॉब्लम है, कॉन्स्टिपेशन का प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है इसका. वो खाता भी नहीं है, फ्रूट्स वेजिटेबल्स खाता है, लेकिन वो राइस वगैरह वो सब नहीं खाता है. इससे वो कॉन्स्टिपेशन का प्रॉब्लम भी उसका होता रहता है.
नहीं, ये कॉन्स्टिपेशन प्रॉब्लम अवॉइड करने के लिए आप ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स जो है वो ज़्यादा यूज़ करना है. और पानी भी 1 to 1.5 लीटर्स पर डे देना पड़ेगा आपको. अगर ये फ्रूट्स नहीं खाता है तो फ्रूट स्मूदी बना के दे सकते हैं आप. फ्रूट स्मूदी यानी वो सभी फ्रूट मिक्स करके 2 to 3 टाइप्स फ्रूट मिक्स करके प्यूरी बना के आप दे सकते हैं. स्मूदी के फॉर्म में आप दे सकते हैं. तो वो फाइबर लोड जब भी जाएगा ना, वो टॉक्सिसिटी अवॉइड होकर कॉन्स्टिपेशन अवॉइड होगा.
अच्छा. यानी रॉ फ्रूट वो खाता है, जूस नहीं करने से भी वो खाता है, एप्पल वगैरह, लेकिन वो मेन चीजें वो राइस वगैरह वो नहीं खाता है, इसके प्रॉब्लम हो गया है. तो
नहीं, वो आपको प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा. बच्चे के साथ आपको बैठ के प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा. और वो राइस कंसिस्टेंसी जो नॉर्मल बनाते हैं ना, उसके लिए आप वो प्रैक्टिस, नॉलेज एंड प्रैक्टिस जो भी बोलते हैं, वो ट्विन जाना पड़ेगा आपको. सो जो भी आप खाते हैं ना नॉर्मली घर में, बच्चे के साथ बैठ के खाने से ये प्रैक्टिस शुरू होकर नॉलेज भी बढ़ जाएगा. नॉर्मल कंसिस्टेंसी में देना चाहिए.
राइस देख के भी वो भाग जाता है, वो तो खाता ही नहीं है. हम लोग का भी देख के भी वो भाग जाता है?
नहीं, इसी को हम डिस्ट्रैक्टिव बोलते हैं। जो भी उसका टॉयज पसंद है, टॉयज देके खाने पड़ेगा, या कुछ बाहर जाके खाता है, या कुछ टीवी या कार्टून्स लगा के आपको डिस्ट्रैक्ट ईटिंग करके कुछ प्रैक्टिस नॉलेज देके प्रैक्टिस करवाना पड़ेगा आपको। कुछ टाइम लगेगा ही, ट्राई कीजिए एक बार।
मैम, टंग का इशू तो कोई नहीं है ना? टंग का
टंग का नहीं रहेगा, अगर वो च्यू कर रहा है तो टंग का नहीं रहेगा, नो प्रॉब्लम।
अच्छा, ओके मैम, थैंक यू सो मच।
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for calling. Do you have any more question?
और वो जंप भी करता है, जब जंप करता है कंटिन्यूअसली करता रहता है।
हाँ, तो actually, ma'am, ये you will have to consult a psychologist for that one. Another thing that I was just telling, it could be some form of sensory seeking behavior. So maybe Bharti, who's our occupational therapist here, she'll just give you a few words if it is a sensory seeking behavior.
I don't know Hindi.
No, you speak in English. She's following English.
Okay. Child is having any sensory issues?
Yes, he has sensory issues also.
What are the sensory issues that they?
Actually, can I speak in Hindi?
You can speak in Hindi. I'll just translate it to her in English. Yeah, tell me.
Okay, ma'am. Well, actually, he used to jump.
Okay.
तो जब वो जंप करता है तो बहुत कंटिन्यूअसली करता रहता है। एवरी टाइम वो नहीं करता है, जब करता है तो बहुत करता है। और वो पहले वो 2 बार करता था, अभी नहीं करता है। अभी वो ठीक हो गया है और सॉफ्ट चीजें नहीं खाता है, सॉफ्ट चीजें नहीं छूता है।
Okay, so
soft cheeses and soft things and doesn't want to eat soft.
Okay, so that part of the question was answered by Dr. Ullasini, but Bharti is asking you about his sensory seeking. So what she's trying to say is he's always jumping continuously, and if he starts jumping, he doesn't stop.
I think that child is having sensory issues is there, like vestibular and proprioceptive seeking is there. So first we have to assess the detailed assessment, then we have to give for the therapy.
Can you hear? Did you hear, ma'am? What?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
So she's just trying to say that he could be having some sensory seeking issues,
Yes.
and they have to advise for vestibular based exercises to reduce these behaviors. I think
Actually,
you.
he's taking occupational therapy also.
Yeah.
But little bit improving, but not completely actually.
Yeah. So please continue with that, ma'am. Please continue with occupational therapy. You can keep in touch with us also. We are there for online consultation as well. So you can connect with us through our telecenter for persons with communication disorders. And we can fix up an appointment for Bharti to also have a consultation with you. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for your question. So that was again, I think, a very common problem. I would say sensory seeking behaviors is something that we are always commonly seeing in children with autism spectrum disorders. So we all, as professionals, appreciate the fact that there is this existence about sensory integration therapy to reduce some of these sensory issues. So could we hear something from you on sensory integration therapy?
Yes. First, I will tell you about the sensor. What are the sensors in our body? So we have 8 sensors in our body. So one is the sight.
Can you please?
One is the visual. That means the sight. Auditory is hearing. Taste is the olfactory sense, and touch is the tactile sense. Proprioception, interoception, vestibular, and smell. So these are the 8 senses in our body. 8 senses in our body. So sight is the visual sense, and the hearing is the auditory sense. Taste is for the taste is for the taste, and touch. Touch is the it helps to detect the pain and temperature like that. Proprioception is the body awareness sense. Interoception is the inner sense. That is the thirsty, hunger like that. So vestibular is the movement sense. Smell is the smell sense.
Okay, so what happens in sensory?
So if the sense is affected, the sensory, if the child is having the brain trouble to organize and interpreting the sense information through the sense. So the child is having the kids may have the oversensitive or undersensitive or both. So these kind of sensory issues we can give for the, we are giving sensory integration therapy. So when sensory integration therapy, so we usually give for the playway method, like the trampoline, swinging activity, sliding board, like that. So we are giving for the all kind of senses. One, if you will take the swinging activity, so all kind of senses the child will get. So swing with the ball throwing activity. So child is standing on the swing. Child will get the proprioceptive and vestibular sense. Then child is holding that chain. The child is getting the tactile and proprioceptive sense. Child is seeing that ball. So that is further child is getting visual sense. So if mother is commanding giving the commands, that is child is getting the auditory sense. So that sensory integration therapy, so we are giving for the all together senses, we are giving that therapy.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Bharti. So maybe I will just add on a little bit to commonly examples that are found as in sensory issues, so that parents have an idea that they have to come to these professionals for sensory integration therapy. So there could be issues like a child is not able to bear some kind of noise. Sometimes you might also see that, they can't tolerate the mixy noise. They can't tolerate the noise from the cooker, the pressure cooker. Sometimes they like the rustling of leaves, and when we tear the sound that comes from the paper. So I think these are also some of the sensory issues.
Yes.
And like she was just mentioning about jumping,
Yes,
constantly jumping is also one. And visual, sometimes some children like seeing flashy lights. Some children like, a very bright light, whereas some children can't even tolerate the normal light.
Yes.
So those are some things. And probably we have also seen some to do with tactile, that's why we always see that these children are rubbing their fingers, or, they are just turning some paper into roll all the time. So these are some of the stereotype behaviors that we have seen.
Stereotype behavior, then the tactile seeking also is there.
Yes.
Tactile and proprioceptive
Seeking is also possible. Okay, Mrs. Bharti, we'll just take another question from here. Hello? Hello, Heli? Namaste, Heli.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಗುಗೆ ಈಗ 3.25 ವರ್ಷ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಏನೋ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳೋಣ ಅಂತ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲೇನೆ 6 months ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲೇ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ.
ಓಕೆ,
ಇಲ್ಲೇ 3 months ಇಂದ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಬ್ಲೋ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬ್ಲೋ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
IQ ಹೇಗಿದೆ?
89 ಇದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. IQ ಅಲ್ಲೇ
ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲೇ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದಾರಾ? ಓಕೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಅವನ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ, ಮನೇಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಮನೇಲಿ 8 members ಇದೀವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅವನ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಹೌದು ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ನೀವೊಂದ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ, ನೀವು ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ದೂರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಕ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ನಮ್ನ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಮಗುನ ನೋಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವ್ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ನ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆದ್ರೆ
ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿ?
ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು?
ಸೊ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಥವಾ www.AIISHMYSURE.in AIISH ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ರೈಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕಾರ್ನರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಲೇಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ಗೆ, ಈ ಟೆಲಿ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ಗೆ, ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮವ್ರು. ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ನೆಲ್ಲ ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮವರೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೋಡೋಣ ಮಗು ಯಾಕೆ ಆ ತರ ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಏನ್ ಕಾರಣ, 6 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ರೂ ಯಾಕೆ ಮಗುವಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಗುನ ನೋಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆ.
ಮನೇಲಿ ಅದೇ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ
ಹೌದು.
ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಅದೇ ಮಗು ನೋಡಿನೇ ಏನಾದ್ರು
ಹೌದು ಖಂಡಿತ. ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ಆ ಮಗು ಜೊತೆ ನಿಲ್ಸ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿ. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಥೆರಪಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ನಾವೇ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಬನ್ನಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿನೂ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಆ ಮಗುವಿನ ತೊಂದರೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಮಾತಾಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಗುನ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್. ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇತ್ತಾ?
ಮಗು ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಈ ತರ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಥೆರಪಿನ, ಬಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಣಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕಳ್ಸಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನ್ನ.
ಸರಿ.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರೋದಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಥೆರಪಿ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ.
ಆಯ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ. ಈಗ 6 ತಿಂಗಳು ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಮಗುದು. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ ಹೌದು, ಹಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನೀವು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಹೌದು ಹೌದು, ASD ಯೂನಿಟ್ಗೆ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ 1 ಡೇ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡೇ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ ನೀವು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. Okay, so I think that is something that is very common to all parents, and it is quite common to all parents of children, special children, more so for children with autism who do not probably have an issue with IQ and so on, because they think everything is normal. Why my child is not picking up? But yeah, that is the whole intention of today's program. To tell you that, there is a condition like this. It may not look like a typical child of features having intellectual disability. They might look, as normal as possible from outside. Like what Mrs. Padmaja was also mentioning. She just said that my baby just looked very normal when he was born. So they think that everything is fine, but eventually it's important that you find out whether the child has a problem or not, so that you can start off with your rehab and intervention as early as possible. So, okay, so I would like to get back to Mrs. Padmaja. Mrs. Padmaja, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Padmaja, could you just give our viewers as well as listeners some idea on what were his support needs as a child, and how did you go about with them?
Okay. So Vivek, as a child, he had, as I said, speech and language issues were there, and along with that, some social anxiety was there, and eating disorders were there. So it was, and eye contact was not there. So all this were there. So as I said, I got introduced to the this 1-year autism program. Then I was learning about autism. Then for eating, he was always telling me about chips. Amma, chips. So I was thinking earlier that he just needed chips at that point in time, and I was buying. Later, after understanding with the active listening, coming, I understood he was telling me that he's hungry. So hungry. He's telling, instead of telling hungry, he's telling chips. So then I had to introduce the word hungry with him. Oh, chips, you're hungry. Oh, you're hungry. That's when you're asking chips. So you introduce some more sentences, a few more words, and then introduce the word hungry. So next, slowly he's telling, yeah, chips, hungry, chips. So like that, he started working on that. And eating disorders, again, bring in the healthy eating along with what he likes and along with what is healthy to eat. So don't I did not remove everything all of a sudden. So introduced as in small quantities, and then one day I win, one day I lose. So it was a journey again. So win, lose, finally we both won. Now he's more liking the healthy food. So his inclination is improved towards healthier foods. So that's one thing. And so since the eating disorders were fainting, then the gastroenteritis was there. That is also he came out of it completely. So drinking soft drinks was there, like, Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, or these things were there. So he had an asthma problem as well. So after we slowly removed, one of his best, uh, well-wisher and a doctor also, whom we usually, meet very often. So he counseled him and he said, I would not like it if you drink more of this Coke and all that, because they are not good for you. So he had that emotional bonding with him, and he said, no, then I'm not drinking. So he just stopped it, and all the other, health issues, were gone, and his health asthma issues completely, he's out of it now. So his health has drastically improved. So the social anxiety again was there. So preparation was required for every, for every meeting or situation. So sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail. So whenever I fail, I learn from that situation, what did not go well, what more I had to work with. So that kind of and go to that place much one time before, earlier, and then understand, study the place, and come back and prepare Vivek, my son. So that is how I've been doing. So these are a few support needs and how I've been working with my son. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice, because I think sharing of this kind of information to the public, and especially those who have children with autism at their place, a lot of times we think that it's better to ignore, and that is something that we would definitely not recommend, especially for these children. It was as simple as one of their well-wishers who just told him, and a doctor, of course, who just told him that if you do this, I may not like it. It's just a feedback that he has given, and yes, it does make it very comprehensible to them. So please do not ignore. Please do not ignore these things. Saying that anyway he's like that. So if we say or if we don't say, nothing is going to happen. No, please don't do that, because a lot of these children have very good receptive language skills. They can understand what you're saying. They can relate to what you're saying. They're simply waiting for you to tell them what is right and what is wrong. Okay, this is again a specialty of a lot of children with autism spectrum disorders. Just because they're not expressing does not always mean that they're not understanding. Okay, remember all the fights that is happening in the house, all the arguments that are happening in the house, all the activities that are happening, all the instruction, the love, the warmth, everything they're understanding. They are not able to express the same. Okay, so this is something that I explicitly want to tell all those parents with autism spectrum disorders. Please be very careful when you're talking to them. It can affect them emotionally, but they may not be able to express. Okay, and that is where you might go wrong. So please understand that comprehension is very much there in these children. Otherwise, if they don't have intellectual disability, they definitely can comprehend what you're trying to tell them. Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Padmaja. I'll just take my question back to Dr. Ulasani on diet. So how does balanced diet have a role for food in children with autism, Dr. Ulasani?
Actually, balanced diet, I would like to just bring it to a food pyramid, which will be helpful for everyone to just understand what would be the role play. So usually diet has an important impact, and as I said, 40 to 50% of it can be seen in the correction where few food restrictions are taken care of. So here we have a simple kind of food pyramid where we concentrate. Usually this food pyramid is one which provides all the required nutrients. Balanced diet is one which provides all the required nutrients in balanced amount. For particular age, we do have restricted calories, and this balanced diet is really required from infancy to old age. This special diet, what I'm concentrating on is just to make sure that carbs are getting on moderation. The first group, what you can see, is through the carbohydrate, where it comes within limited amounts, where we try to cut down the glucose load. Second group would be fruits and vegetables. This is a food pyramid of group of 5, which can explain why carbs and proteins should be cut down or taken care of. So these will have load of fiber, which can be taking care of the entire digestive gut of a child, and also can reduce the intake of sugary foods, or maybe the carbohydrate load can be cut down, including lot of fiber. The third group and the fourth, which includes a lot of proteins. Protein here also should be taken care. Yeah, of course, it is required for growth and development, but load of protein can also induce some weight increase in the kid, and also we have to take care about obesity. Sometimes there might be weight loss or weight increase, so this has to be balanced, because always weight goes to the individual kid's height and also for the age. So this protein group also should be in moderation. Usually it is say 1 gram per kg body weight for an adult, but whereas these kids we concentrate and make sure it is 0.5 to 0.8 gram of protein per kg body weight, so that the liberal body weight can be maintained according to the particular age and height. And the last group, say again, we have this meat and meat products, and also which is of oil things what we use. This has to be taken care so that the fat is going in moderation. 20 to 25% of a fat is really required, so that it can take care of the body warmth and also develop the bone mass and muscle mass. So apart from all these, of course, daily activity and physical activity and exercise also is very important, so that all balanced nutritious food going through the body or biologically going into it, and whatever is required only is necessary your body can absorb. So with that, physical activity and the regular special diet what we advise should be followed, so that the features of whatever is going beyond the limits through food can be actually controlled.
Okay, Dr. Lusini, thank you so much. I think that would also be very useful for the typically developing children. So please do consult a dietitian. That is what I would recommend all the parents of children with autism spectrum disorders. There are good possibilities that these children could have dietary issues, which is also reported in literature. And of course, a lot of changes in diet can actually control or regulate their behavior. So that is what I'm just trying to say. Again, I would also bring it to Bharti, because it is possible that some children are more sensory seeking for certain food items. So it is important that you work parallelly with a dietitian as well as an occupational therapist. I'm sure definitely we will come down to some solution to such issues. So let's move on to Dr. Kadamri. So what do you think we see as educational challenges in these children with autism spectrum disorder?
We have been talking a lot, and like many of the parents also who called, told about the sensory issues that these children with autism face. So one of the foremost thing what happens in a mainstream classroom, if I say, is a lot of sensory overload. Our Indian classrooms are like filled with around, say, maybe 25 to 30 children in a classroom, and somebody speaking, some sound, and all these things, they give a sensory overload to the child, and the child gets distracted very easily. So they might want to just come out of the class and might not be able to concentrate. Even I have noticed some of the kids who get distracted with the sound of a chalk or even the texture of that. Some of them are not liking to hold the pencil or a crayon, are some of the issues which they come up with, which is actually hindering their educational development. So for this, definitely we suggest them to go for the occupational therapy. Another very major important thing is, they are not able to concentrate at one place. And that is the reason they are not able to take in the information which has been told by the teacher to them. So if the teacher is asking them to do certain activities, they are unable to do that. They are unable to comprehend the complex sentences which are being told to them. So this is another issue which they face. Majorly, what at AIISH, at our Department of Special Education, we see is many of the children who come to us for the support services, the textbooks have a lot of information in them. Okay, so suppose a child has to be taught about evaporation, that will have a whole story around it. And the main information about evaporation might be just less. Our children with autism are unable to take that information. They might concentrate on the other information that was given rather than on the specific thing. So that is something which they have problem with, and we at the Department of Special Education, we try to tell them how to cut that extra information and just keep whatever is the required information for them. Also, since we all know they are unable to communicate many a times, so whatever are their requirements is something which they are not able to tell to the teacher, to their peers. And as Vivek's mom was telling, I think bullying is something, which is very rampant in the schools. And then it leads to many behavioral issues. So these are certain things which I feel are the major challenges that these children face. And then there are a lot many, as we say, it's a spectrum. So each child might have different issues in the school, but these are certain major things which I feel are the challenges.
Yes, so thank you so much, Dr. Kadambari. I'm very glad that you brought in these points about bullying in schools. I think this kind of a disability education in the normal schools is very important now, not for just the children, but I think for the teachers and for the authorities. I know there are a lot of authorities and teachers who are very positive about it and they encourage this in their school setup. But I think there's a lot more that needs to be done in terms of disability education in schools. So I'm sure, it's all about accepting and including them. So let's see how best we can do towards this direction. So just another last question to Mrs. Padmaja. I'd just like to ask you, what is it that you want to tell to parents who have just, been told that their child is having autism spectrum disorders?
So what I would say is, I would tell about what I have done. So it was not easy. I got scared hearing the diagnosis, and the way it is like, we are autism. The child do not know this normal, so-called normal world, and I did not know autism world. So we both are put into different spaces. So I got literally equally frustrated about the autism world, and my son, he was literally equally frustrated with the so-called normal world. So we had to strike a balance, bring in a common language, which I can understand about him and he can understand about the world, and start communication. To establish that communication is very important. Accepting comes as a process, so it doesn't come immediately. So don't be a superwoman or super parents. It has to be up there. It is a validate your feelings, go through that process of acceptance, and then start working what is there visible. You're not alone, that is the first thing. And have this authorized professionals, right professionals in place, and communicating with them is very important. Having a regular checkups, and then taking their suggestions, including and showing them what is going on at regular basis, and what are the next steps forward. The roadmap, having a roadmap is very essential. So that is how I think that is important. And take care of yourselves first, and then that will, cheerful parents, looking cheerful, and and when you're not cheerful, be low in front of them. So be transparent, and then be cheerful also. So strike a balance of about with all the emotions, so they know the emotions, and they know how to emote their emotions in the right way. So that is also a kind of be yourself, and then help their personality develop, and along with their special needs. And it's a journey, beautiful journey. So nothing, and even if it is a normal person, normal son, they will go through, they still need the support system around at every stage. So here we require a little additional different support system. So that is how it is going to be. So it is still it is going to be all well, and it is going to be as per God's plan, and which are good for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was so nice to hear from a mother like you. And I think, yeah, that's what I'm just trying to see her whole perspective. She's so positive about, what is happening around it. And I'm sure that is seen on her face and obviously reflected onto Vivek, which will definitely give him a lot more meaning to lead his life. So I'm very sure you're going in the right direction. But I would also like to tell you that as I had already committed, we are here to help you. So all the support that we can give towards Vivek and to you as well. So we're always there with you. Thank you so much for joining in. And we will be connecting with you again, and let us be connected. And we would definitely want to chip you in for a lot of our parent associated programs in future. So we'd like to have your cooperation in future as well. Thank you, Mrs. Padmaja. Thank you so much. So we're very much running short of time. We've crossed the 3 p.m. Time, but I'm glad we had a lot of callers today, and I'm sure we have a lot more coming in, but it's the time constraint. So may I request all of you to give us your take-home message for parents of children with autism spectrum disorders. Maybe we can start with Dr. Padambari.
Yeah. First and foremost, as Vivek's mom was telling, accept your child and then move ahead. Once, you got to know that your child has a problem, has autism, just accept it and start searching for what can be done. Another very important thing that I always tell whenever I talk to any of the parents is, or any of the audiences, do not say an autistic child. Look at the child as a child first. Let it be. You might have seen all of us saying a child with autism. It's not autistic child, it's a child first. So please do not just see at the diagnosis, see the child as a whole. Let the child be as he or she is, and work with it. And as we say, success is possible, and we have a lot of parents who have successfully crossed these stages and got their kids or those who are adults now into the mainstream. So yes, it is possible if you seek the correct help and accept the child and move ahead.
Thank you so much. Can we have your word, Dr. Lal?
Sure. And firstly, I would like to thank, and it's a great pleasure for me to serve the different sector of diet therapy apart from my therapeutic diets. So this has been a nice journey for me also from past 3 years working here for AIISH. And to conclude, I would like to say that, of course, it is not a thing where you can see this, as Madam said, it's totally a special one or maybe a different one. It is just a little extra what you have to think. And it is only 3 Ds according to diet you have to concentrate. The first D would be your daily drugs or medicines, whatever, please do concentrate. Second D is your diet therapy. Make it sure that you're following it at least up to the mark, so that if it is not perfect, at least you will be providing the required proper nutrition to the child. The third D would be your daily activity and exercises, and making the child to have that knowledge and practice together, so that it will make a healthy eating for a better recovery, so that prevention is better than cure is what everybody says. So all the good luck to all the mothers who are taking care, because even I do see cases when I come, and they are really a hand better than the regular mothers is what I say. So I would like to conclude by this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bharti, can we have some words?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the giving opportunities. So please continue all the mothers to therapy for occupational therapy, speech therapy, and follow the diet also.
Thank you, Bharti. So thank you so much to all the resource persons of the day today, and a big thanks to Mrs. Padmaja as well. On behalf of our director, All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, and all of us here at the Autism Spectrum Disorders Unit, I would like to say that inclusivity can happen only with acceptance. So please cooperate with us. Please support us on this venture. And we have a lot of activities happening through this month, which we will keep you updated on. With that, I'd like to conclude today's program. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the callers that we had with their questions. We are open again for calls in our next program, so please do join us. Thank you once again.